Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, I'm from Ballymun and I'm a freelance fashion stylist.
Hi Nadia,
Hey Mark,
thanks a million for coming on this series of chats. And it's fascinating because
no problem.
in this whole world we're living in, I came across you on Instagram, and it's like that's
Yes,
the connection was made. So it's because we've been closed here for the last 3 months. Normally
mm.
it'd be in the cafe now. I'd be talking to you. So
Yeah,
come here.
a new way of doing things,
I know.
but
Wait to me, was were you always into fashion growing up? Was that kind of a thing for you from early on?
I think I was a bit different to my friends growing up in Ballymun. Like I never wore tracksuits, I was never into that. And I was always, whenever we went shopping or anything as younger, I couldn't understand why there were so many tops the same. Like, where is the individuality in it? So I think it started at a young age. And then I got into vintage when I was about 23 or 24. My friend came and brought me into a vintage shop in town, and then that was it. I was turned over to that type of life, and then through shopping vintage, and then going into charity shops and finding even better stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it.
And just so people know, what do you do now? What's kind of you freelance, and who's the type of people you've kind of worked with in the last while?
So before the lockdown, I was working for a company called Pack Shop. They do e-commerce styling for Brown Thomas and Arnott's. So you'd be working with a photographer, a model, and your clothes, and you have to bang out, 50 looks, 40 or 50 looks a day. Yeah, it's speed is the name of the game in e-commerce styling. And then before that, I've assisted Ashlyn Farinella. So she'd be a really well-established stylist, creative consultant in Dublin. So I started with her.
Okay, and can we take me back then to you kind of growing up in Ballymun? Like, were you like,
Mm.
was like music or the arts was kind of that part of your life? Like, were you into music and
It was. I was in the Reco when I was a teenager. I did samba
yeah,
drums. So we did that. We did Paddy's Day parades. We went over to Newcastle for like the Queen's Jubilee and met Bob Geldof, and yeah, it was really good.
yeah.
I'm glad I was in it. I'm glad it was there for us at that awkward age, 13, 14, 50. They're like the danger years. So
I mean, it's kind of, and I say the Reco is for people that listen from not from Ballymun. The Reco is a
mm,
youth service centre from Ballymun Regional Youth Resource, and they're an amazing group. And I remember actually that samba band, and because music and the arts have been such a part of that, and but I remember
mm,
that samba band went everywhere. It was brilliant.
yeah, it was brilliant. It was
But you're
brilliant.
also right. That age group is the tricky years for everybody.
Yeah, for everyone there, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you need to be doing something where you're getting into trouble.
Doing something to burn off all that energy.
Yeah, all that energy.
Yeah. Were you kind of drawing and sketching around that time? Like, was kind of what? How did you kind of imagine? Like, how do you work imagining your designs? Like, did that start back then, or is that something that kind of?
But when I was in like primary school, when we started learning about the ancient Egyptians, I was fascinated by that. I actually wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid. So I think it kind of started there. Like I wouldn't say that I'm like really into fashion because it's not the fashion
Okay.
part of it that interests me. It's the storytelling part of it, and how to put a look together. Like I even remember when I was younger and I'd be going in shopping trying to find something to wear, and I'd be looking at everyone around me to see what they had on, what looked well, and then I'd reimagine that in my own kind of way.
But tell me about that, because I mean, I think that's interesting, because you mentioned vintage, and
Yeah.
you also mentioned that storytelling aspect. Just talk to me a bit more about what that means in relation to this. You know, what attracts you to that kind of? Is it the stories that the old clothes might bring with them, or?
Yeah, it is. And just reinventing them a new way, how you tell a story visually, you know. I suppose it's sad to say, but it's like, you know, it's one of the first things you notice about someone. If you see someone in a suit, in a really nice suit, you're going to be like, wow, you know. So I think it's that kind of aspect as well. And the storytelling, like that I see in magazines and stuff at the moment, like I'd rather it be more real, telling more real life stories, you know, the people that don't get photographed, members of the traveling community, you know, those type of stories, not just trying to push this look on
Yeah.
someone, you know. It's just, yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting, because I mean that goes across, say, all the arts and kind of cultural space, and even society, kind of, because an awful lot of, say, TV or media, or kind of the gloss
Mm,
side of it, it's all about aspirational. It's all about something that you're not.
yeah,
And I think that's I'm fascinated with that in relation to people who work in and around the industry, about how do you manage against that, because you know it's selling people dreams that aren't necessarily
that aren't, yeah, that, yeah, that aren't really that realistic. And I think there's so much value put on by like the designer clothes that you wear, you know. If you have all these, if you have a Louis Vuitton bag, if you have, you know, Balenciaga, it's like you're judged on what you're wearing, and I really, really hate that.
yeah.
I really hate that.
So do
And I
you?
think that's why I love vintage so much as well, and secondhand clothing. Like I found some diamonds, you know, items, and like I actually get a rush out of it. um, but like you don't need to spend a lot of money to look expensive. You really don't.
And what's the missing thing then? Like, if you don't like, is that? I mean, obviously, you know, two different people walk into a charity shop with the same budget
Mm,
are going to come out with two very different things. So I think
yeah,
there is an artistic and creative piece that you have then to kind of style that.
to zone in on what I like. Yeah, I'm very quick as well when I'm in a charity shop. Like I'm like boom, 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 boom. Oh, I'll take that. You know,
Okay.
it's a quick kind of decision, and they cost, you know, feck all.
Yeah.
So
And do you upstyle them? Do you kind of do you adapt those?
yeah, well, when before the lockdown happened, I'd enrolled in the Grafton Academy of Fashion to do a 12-week fashion design course, just to give me a kind of taste for it. So I have a sewing machine. So I only got to go to one class before the lockdown happened. And I had a sewing machine at home. So I've just been trying to teach myself, watch YouTube tutorials and how to do it. My mom was a seamstress, and her mom, my nanny, was a really well-known dressmaker as well. And then on my dad's side, all his aunties are like seamstresses, so it's in the blood. So
That was my next question, because
yeah.
I think it's kind of, you know, it's one thing being a young one, kind of noticing clothes and kind of going, I'm not really interested in that. But actually, then, say that decision in your late teens, early 20s, to actually try and make something of it, it was
Mm.
was that a big choice for you? Like, was that a kind of a life shift?
It was because previously, like I've worked in corporate services, like I worked for, you know, big accountancy firms. So it's a big difference to what I'm doing now. I always felt when I was working in those roles that I kind of felt a bit like a robot, kind of just going in and going out. And I enjoyed the work and I enjoyed the people that I worked with, but I knew when I discovered the vintage aspect and the, you know, sustainable side of it, I knew that was kind of the direction I wanted to go. So I started doing markets around Dublin. The first market I did was the Dublin Flea Christmas market. So that was on for like 3 days in what's the name of that cinema? It's near Spencer Dock, but it was for 3 days. So that was the first one I did. And like like sold nearly everything there, and I was like, right, this I want to pursue this more. So I suppose after that, then I realized I need to know a bit more about starting up a business and what that actually involved. So I did a start up your own business course. I did that about 2 years ago, and that was with Enterprise Ireland. It was in Molesworth Street in town. And I did that for a couple of weeks, and that just gives you, like, it's not just, oh, I can start a business, you know, it gives you a more, you know, there's a lot more that kind of goes into it. And then from doing vintage, I wanted, and like selling across Instagram and doing markets, I wanted to be able to photograph it well. And then that's when I decided to do a fashion styling diploma. And then once I started doing that, I knew I wanted to do fashion styling, and I knew I wanted to do it with vintage clothes and secondhand clothes, and yeah. So that's when I knew.
You say it there that, like, you know, step by step, but I mean that takes some drive and bottle to be able to kind of, you know, it's like in the arts when you kind of decide, okay, I'm going to be an actor, or I'm going to be this, like, you know,
yeah,
it's following your passion is a great thing, but you know, it requires that kind of neck to have the business side of it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And
definitely.
Do you find that like, has Instagram been a big thing for you?
It is. I think I need to put more work into my Instagram. They're viewed as, they're kind of for creative people. They're like a portfolio almost. So I do believe that, you know, Instagram plays a big part in people in my type of roles, definitely.
And come here, if you had, like, just talk to me a bit about me, obviously that doesn't know much about what you do, as you can see, but I'm interested in that kind of, because I also would love secondhand and kind of vintage shops, but that sense of, is it an instinctual thing that you put together?
Yeah.
And is it about the person? Like, say when you're styling somebody, like, how does that work?
How does it work? I suppose for my first shoot that I did, I wanted someone who wasn't a model. I wanted someone real. I got in contact with a girl from Ballymun, Marie. She's like 6'5". She's like beautiful, beautiful brown girl. And once I knew that she was gonna be my model, I kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I picked clothes that I knew were gonna suit her.
Okay.
I suppose you kind of start off with what colours you're gonna use first. So once you have that phased out and you do your mood board and you pull all these different looks together, you kind of get an idea of what you're going for. It all depends on your brief, I suppose, what you're given. Yeah.
And do you ever kind of clash against the brief and kind of go, that's not going to work, you know, that, like, you know, what you're being asked to do is not working, and how do you kind of
not really, because I mean, I haven't styled like shoots for magazines myself, so I've assisted someone, so I wouldn't have the say on that. But if something wasn't working, or you thought something wasn't working, you know, you'd say that's not working. You know, so I think that's the way it's done.
Yeah. And where did you go to school in Ballymun, Nadia?
I first went to the Holy Spirit. I was there until I went into fourth class, and then we moved to Our Lady of Victories.
Okay. Got
Our
yeah.
Lady of Victories. And then for secondary school, I went to St. Mary's Holy Faith Convent in Glasnevin.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
God, you kind of those three schools are actually cut a line right through Ballymun Glasnevin. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of starting at one end and going to the other.
Yeah. I wanted to go to the convent, but my dad wouldn't let me. So.
And come here, was it what did you find a kind of a tribe then? Was there other girls that were into fashion, or was it just you found yourself that was just kind of your thing?
I suppose like I've a couple of friends who are really into fashion and stuff. And then you just kind of meet people along the way as well. Like I go for the lockdown, I'd go to a lot of events just to kind of meet like-minded people.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that you meet them again and your circles gets bigger. Or like for instance, working in Pack Shop, I'm now doing a shoot with the photographer and one of the models from there as well. So it's just you're always kind of finding people to collaborate with.
Yeah.
And it usually works. You just have to ask.
No, but I think as well. I mean, I think that's I suppose one of the interesting things is that asking is a kind of skill in itself to be able to kind of.
It is. My motto is if you don't ask, you'll never know.
Absolutely.
So I'm very like how I got into styling was I just emailed Ashlyn and gave her the shoot that I did in college and just told her a bit about me and that if you're looking for an assistant or an internship, that's usually the way it works. There's a hierarchy with it. So with I suppose what I want to do now is costume styling.
Yeah.
So that's why I enrolled in Grafton College as well, because you need to know how to do you need to know how to make amendments, altering clothes if that's the case. So that's why I enrolled in college. But costume styling, it just seemed the kind of natural progression. Like I love being on set. I did one commercial and it was a really long day. They're really long days, but you're just pumped full of adrenaline, So
yeah,
that's the route I'm trying to get into. And with costume styling, or to get on a costume designer's team, you have to see where you'd fit in. So that's my next goal.
Yes, we would be having chats about that in the
yes.
as well. Go back to me. I mean, I think an awful lot of people talk about how great it is growing up in Ballymun and like what's that for you? Like what because I think it's an amazing community and the people that come from up here. What's special about it for you, Nadia? Or what's it giving you?
What's special about Ballymun? It's the people. It's the community. It's not as strong as it was in the flats. You'd be able to leave your door open. There be no worries or anything like that. But I definitely think it's the people and it's the community, and I don't think people realise how much help there is there. Especially in regards with like the job centre or going over to the social welfare if you're not working, say, look, I want to do this course. There's so much help. There really is. You just have to go and ask for it. I think it's like I wouldn't change my upbringing for nothing. I'm very proud to be from Ballymun. And I think that's the way a lot of my friends think as well. But definitely community, definitely getting you thick skin as well.
I think you're right. I think what's interesting, and I think what has changed a lot is Like it's a badge worn with pride now, particularly in the wider Dublin area, particularly in career.
Definitely.
It's not like something that people say of your generation are hiding. Do you know what I mean? It's not like.
No. And before, actually, when I was working in corporates, like I would never put Ballymun on my CV.
Mm.
I used to put Santry Avenue on my CV, but I haven't. Ballymun has been on my CV for the last couple of years. But it was something. You know, when you Google where's the worst place to live, you know, Ballymun comes up.
Yeah.
It's like #1 in Dublin, but I don't really see it that way. There's a few bad apples, but it doesn't take away from the amount of things that people are doing in Ballymun. You know, the Reco is great for kids. Yeah, and it's, you know, there's the Yak Centre as well. There's the community centre up in Poppintree. There's a lot going on, you know.
And I think sometimes things become a habit. Like an area gets called something, and then everyone just actually even look and see whether it is that way anymore. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And come here, what are you into? Like what's important to you in the world, Nadia? What drives you apart from vintage fashion? What kind of gives you?
What drives me? What are my other interests?
Yeah.
I suppose I'm quite concerned about the homeless situation that we have now. What are my other interests? What drives me? I'm really into self-care. You know, I don't think mental health is talked about enough at all. What other? I'm really into history books.
Okay.
I'm really into learning. I think that's what, you know, if I'm learning, I'm happy.
Okay. Because I think you mentioned earlier on about, you know, that the archaeology and kind of and it's really interesting that, you know, your interest and your skill set and your career about bringing vintage and kind of into the modern is kind of very kind of your interest.
And I'm interested in history. I've gotten into a little bit into philosophy at the moment as well. I'm learning about you know, the Greek gods and all this stuff as well. During lockdown, I've been doing like free online courses on stuff. So I did a course on like royal fashion history. So it was during the Tudors, and then that spiked me interest, and then I went into, you know, like the Renaissance and, you know, the end of the Russian dynasty and what they wore during then. So yeah, I have a lot to keep me entertained. I'm not usually bored. I don't usually get bored.
You don't sound like someone who would be easily bored at all.
No. I have a bit of a butterfly brain, like, you know. If I find something that interests me, I'll keep researching it until it doesn't.
But also behind that, there sounds like there's a real work ethic with you as well. Do you know what I mean? Will there have to be to kind of try and develop?
Yeah, like I'd consider myself a very hard worker, very motivated. If there's something I want, I'll do kind of anything to get to that place. Yeah, I think I'm driven. Like I'm not, you know, I'm not 100% driven all the time. You know, I've been low before, and I've got back to where I need to be. So, yeah.
Well, come here. I'll leave you for today because I don't want to kind of use all your brain, because I know you're going to be joining. I know you're going to be joining Kate, our communications person, next week. We're going to have an Insta Live
chat
with yourself about fashion next week. So what I'm going to do is this will be posted in the next couple of days, and we'll have your links in the comment section below, so people check out your Instagram and your fashion pages, and then come along and see you in action with Kate next week.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
I can't wait.
Nadia, thanks a million for taking part in this.
No problem, Mark.
Bye.
Thanks a million. Bye.